This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
A lawmaker from Benue State, Representative Ojema Ojoto, is proposing a constitutional amendment bill to include power rotation for all elections. Though the bill has not yet been presented for first reading, it proposes to amend 4 sections of the Constitution to rotate the office of President amongst the 6 geopolitical zones. The bill also proposes a rotation of the office of Governor among the 3 senatorial zones within a state, while senatorial elections would rotate among all federal constituencies within a senatorial zone. At the local government level, it seeks to prohibit an LGA from producing a member of the House of Representatives for a second time until all LGAs within the federal constituency have had their turn. For more on this, we're joined by Jide Ojo, a political commentator. Mr. Ojo, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Ojo, what do you make of this particular bill?
It's a welcome development, but I think procedurally it is wrong. It's a constitutional amendment bill, and I think it should be taken together with the proposed constitutional alterations that is being proposed by the House of Reps and the Senate. But for individuals to be jumping on and listing bills for amendments when it's just not ordinary legislation but a constitutional alteration, that's the only thing I have against the bill. But nonetheless, I have been an advocate of rotational power from my advocacy in the 90s, because that is a form of affirmative action that can ensure the inclusion, political inclusion of all the major tribes and ethnic groups in Nigeria. There is no gainsaying the fact that if we leave things the way they are, some people will be shortchanged. In many states, you see dominant of one ethnic group over the other, and that is against the letter and spirit of the Constitution, which talks about federal character principle, that there will be no domination of any tribe or ethnic group over the other. If I want to be very practical, look at Kogi State. Until Yahya Bello's accidental governor in 2015, it's always been the Igala people in the Kogi East that dominate the political landscape. Likewise in Kaduna, it has always been the people of Kaduna North. Until Patrick Yakowa's accidental governor, after Sambo was picked as vice president candidate to Goodluck Jonathan in 2011. And even in Oyo State, you find out that the people of Okeogun has never produced governor of Okeogun, governor of Oyo State. In Ondo or in Ogun State, the people of Yewa, which is Ogun West, has never produced governor in Ogun State. So you can cite so many other states where there have been domination of one tribe or one ethnic group against the other.
Mr. Ojo, let me come in and ask you this. If we essentially make this provision for ethnicity, what stops an agitation around religion as well? Because ethno-religious sentiments typically go together.
Yeah, Nabila, you cannot, in a federalism like we are led to be practicing, you cannot rule out those sentiments. You are there in Lagos. Recall that even after the 2017 elections, the Muslims in Lagos State were against Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu when he presented the list of his commissioners. They said it was dominated by Christians. And you will recall that the State House of Assembly actually rejected most of the nominees of the governor until there was a rapprochement and the governor represented the list to reflect more Muslims on the list. So those sentiments will always be there. You recall that there was this ahead of 2023 presidential election. There were so many people in Southwest who did not vote for Bola Tinubu because of the Muslim ticket. Their claim was because Nigeria is a secular state and they have not seen the secularity in a situation where you could not find a Christian running mate. And that is why he lost Lagos State. Basically, that's why he lost Lagos State. That's why he lost Osun State. Because of the fear by the Christians in the Southwest that, President Tinubu has sold out to the Muslim community where he belongs. So those sentiments are going to continue to be rife unless we find a constitutional way. And that's why I said, what this lawmaker from Benue State is proposing is a kind of affirmative action. And so, let there be sense of belonging by all the major ethnic groups within the state or within the country.
I mean, that would probably lead us to another sense of belonging for the minority groups. And that's not to say that they don't have a right to that sense of belonging. But it's interesting that this is a principle that started within the PDP. At some point, it was nothing more than a gentleman's handshake, and then it was in their constitution, the party constitution. If it makes its way into Nigeria's constitution, this would be essentially direct influence from that political party. They happen to be in the minority in the National Assembly and probably across state houses of assembly in the country. What are the possibilities of this bill seeing the light of day?
Well, if we agree on the fact that there is a sense of, there is a need for political inclusion of gender, ethnicity, and religion, then it will see the light of the day. However, if we play the ostrich and say it does not matter, let everybody, because what you need to understand, Nabila, is that it doesn't matter where the idea comes from. When I started agitating for rotational presidency, PDP hasn't been formed. I'm talking of early 90s. I recall one of my articles in 1993 or thereabout was on rotational presidency. So, it has been there. The agitation has been low-toned. But the agitation has been rife now because the whole IPOB agitation, indigenous people of Biafra, the whole agitation is about lack of political inclusion. They are asking the question, why can't Igbo be the president of Nigeria? And if you go by numerical strength of the Igbos, they will never be president of Nigeria if you leave it open, unless there is a kind of affirmative action or a kind of political engineering, the kind of which produced Obasanjo in 1999, when the political elite of Nigeria decided to field only Yoruba candidates. And then we had Olufalaye and Olu Obasanjo as presidential candidates. In which case, whichever way you vote, you are going to vote one Olu, you are going to vote a Yoruba man. That's what I even expected ahead of 2023 elections. Yoruba has been president, Hausa has been president. It is time for Igbos to be president. And just imagine, as only we have a Peter Obi and maybe former secretary to the federal government, Empire Sahib, as the two candidates we have to vote for. So that the whole agitation of IPOB would have been down. All those lockdown on Mondays would not have been there. Because whether we like it or not, in a federalism, there is plurality. Plurality of religion, of ideas, plurality of demands, and unless you take care of this. Remember, there was a time the Yorubas were also of the opinion that they've been left out of the federal political space. And that's what led to the OPC, Odua People's Congress agitation, that was led by the now Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, Chief Gani Adams. And God bless his memory, God bless him, Frederick Fashion. They led the OPC, and the whole idea of OPC, Odua People's Congress, was to have the Oduduwa Republic because they felt that Yorubas were being shortchanged. So this feeling will always be there. And unless you address it in a constitutional manner, it's the same way we feel about women participation in politics and governance of Nigeria. If we leave it to and nobody is discriminated against as espoused in Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Also, the women will never be president of Nigeria.
Well, Mr. Ojo, I would like to say thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. I do apologize, but we are out of time. Our guest on the conversation, Jide Ojo, is a political commentator speaking to us on the bill that is before the House of Representatives that will see the rotational policy of the PDP perhaps enshrined in the Constitution to allow every part of the geopolitical zone produce a president. Stay tuned. You're still on to Now Breakfast. Up next is News Extra. Do stay with us.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.